Stowe, Ohio, tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, the scent of freshly cut grass in the air, a place where children played freely and families gathered for summer barbecues. This peaceful facade hid a darkness waiting to erupt. August 15th, 2024. The day started like any other, the summer sun casting long shadows across the manicured lawns. But beneath the surface a storm brewed, one that would soon unleash a tragedy too horrific to imagine. The familiar sounds of the day, children's laughter, birdsong, the distant hum of traffic, were pierced by a sound alien to the peace: gunshots. At the heart of this unthinkable act was a local Taco Bell, a place usually bustling with families grabbing a quick bite. Now it stood as a chilling monument to violence. 2 lives extinguished, a community left reeling. This wasn't just another crime story. It was a tragedy that resonated deep within the community and beyond. The shockwaves of the Taco Bell incident spread through Stowe like wildfire, leaving residents grappling with fear, grief, and a profound sense of loss. The nation watched, horrified, as the details of the murder-suicide unfolded. But amidst the grief and despair, there was also a glimmer of hope. A community determined to find meaning in the tragedy, to learn from it, and to emerge stronger than before. Taylor Williams, 25, was the picture of vibrant youth. Her infectious laughter and bright smile could light up a room. Friends and family described her as a ray of sunshine, always willing to lend a helping hand or offer a kind word. She had dreams, aspirations that burned bright within her, a future filled with love, laughter, and success. Taylor was working towards those dreams, her determination unwavering, her spirit unyielding. She was a beloved daughter, a cherished friend, a valued member of the Stowe community. Her absence left a void, a gaping hole in the hearts of all who knew her. Kevin Creighton, 35, stood in stark contrast to the vibrancy of Taylor Williams. His was a life seemingly shrouded in shadows, marked by a history of violence and despair. Court records revealed a troubled past, a litany of charges that painted a disturbing picture. Domestic violence, assault, weapons charges, these were the hallmarks of Creighton's life, a chilling foreshadowing of the darkness that resided within him. Those who knew him spoke of a man battling inner demons, a man consumed by anger and resentment. His life, a series of poor choices and missed opportunities, seemed to spiral further into chaos with each passing year. In the aftermath of the tragedy, investigators struggled to piece together the events leading up to the shooting. What drove Creighton to such a horrific act? And why Taylor? The connection between them, if any, remained shrouded in mystery. Witnesses reported seeing Creighton's car, a dark sedan, circling the Taco Bell parking lot in the hours before the shooting. Was he lying in wait, his rage simmering, searching for a target? Or was Taylor a specific premeditated victim in a twisted plan? The lack of a discernible motive only deepened the mystery, amplifying the sense of unease and disbelief that gripped the community. How could such a senseless act occur, seemingly without reason or provocation? The investigation was just beginning, a long and arduous process seeking answers in the desolate landscape of a killer's mind. The sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the Taco Bell parking lot. Taylor Williams pulled in, her car a beacon of bright blue against the asphalt. A routine stop, a quick bite before heading home. She had no way of knowing that fate, in its cruelest twist, had other plans. Across the lot, almost hidden in the shadows, Kevin Creighton sat in his nondescript sedan. Witnesses would later describe a palpable tension emanating from the vehicle, as if the very air around it crackled with unspoken menace. Did their eyes meet, a chilling premonition passing between them? Or was Taylor, caught up in her own thoughts, completely unaware of the danger lurking just yards away? What is known is that their paths, once parallel but separate, were about to intersect in the most tragic and irreversible way imaginable. Inside the Taco Bell, the usual dinner rush was in full swing. Families huddled over their meals, teenagers gossiped in booths, the air thick with the aroma of seasoned ground beef and hot sauce. The banality of the scene, the everyday normalcy, made what happened next all the more jarring. A sudden commotion outside, a shattering of glass, then screams. Witnesses would later recall a collective gasp, a moment of stunned silence before the gravity of the situation sunk in. Panic erupted, sending customers scrambling for cover, their cries of fear swallowed by the growing chaos. Outside, the scene was nothing short of horrific. Taylor lay crumpled on the ground, her bright blue car a stark contrast to the spreading pool of blood staining the asphalt. Creighton stood over her, a gun still clutched in his hand, his face a mask of cold detachment. The idyllic peace of Stowe, Ohio, had been shattered, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable violence. The first 911 call came in at 6:47 p.m., the caller's voice frantic, barely coherent. Shots fired. Taco Bell. Woman down. He's got a gun. The words laced with terror sent shockwaves through the emergency dispatch center. Within seconds, sirens wailed, their piercing cries slicing through the evening air. Police cruisers, lights flashing, raced towards the scene, their tires screaming in protest as they navigated the now congested streets. Every second felt like an eternity, the weight of the unknown pressing heavily on the first responders. Paramedics arrived to a scene of utter devastation. Taylor, her lifeblood seeping onto the asphalt, was gone. Creighton, his own life ebbing away from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, lay just feet from his victim. The air hung heavy with the stench of gunpowder and the bitter reality of lives extinguished, a grim reminder of the fragility of human existence. News of the shooting spread like wildfire, engulfing the community in a wave of shock and disbelief. Social media feeds exploded with frantic messages, prayers, and expressions of grief. The name Taylor Williams became synonymous with the tragedy, her face frozen in time, appearing on news channels across the country. At the Taco Bell, now a crime scene cordoned off by yellow tape, investigators worked tirelessly, their every move scrutinized by a growing crowd of onlookers. The flashing lights of police cruisers cast an eerie glow over the scene, illuminating the grim reality of what had transpired. As darkness fell, casting long shadows over the scene, a sense of profound sadness settled upon the community. How could this happen here, in their peaceful town? What could possess one human being to inflict such pain and suffering on another? The answers, elusive and complex, remained shrouded in the aftermath of the tragedy. The days following the Taco Bell tragedy were a blur of raw emotion for the residents of Stowe. The initial shock gave way to a deep, pervasive grief, a collective ache that seemed to permeate every corner of the town. Flags flew at half-mast, their somber descent mirroring the heavy hearts of those who called Stowe home. The vibrant energy that usually pulsed through the town seemed to dissipate, replaced by a palpable silence, broken only by the muffled sobs of those struggling to comprehend the senseless loss. Taylor Williams, once a vibrant presence in their midst, was now gone, her absence leaving a void that no amount of time could ever fill. She was more than just a victim. She was a daughter, a friend, a classmate, a co-worker, a cherished member of the community whose life was tragically cut short. As the community grieved, questions lingered in the air, a chorus of whys and how could this happen echoing through the streets of Stowe. The senselessness of the act, the lack of a clear motive, only amplified the pain and frustration. A makeshift memorial sprung up outside the Taco Bell, a poignant testament to a life cut short. Flowers, candles, handwritten notes, and photographs adorned the sidewalk, each item a silent tribute to Taylor and a stark reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded. The community, united in grief, demanded answers. Some called for stricter gun control measures, questioning how a man with Kevin Creighton's history of violence could have access to firearms. Others urged for increased mental health awareness and support, hoping to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. The tragedy at the Taco Bell in Stowe, Ohio, quickly transcended the confines of the small town, becoming a national news story that gripped the nation. News vans descended upon Stowe, their satellite dishes piercing the sky like unwelcome intruders. Reporters, hungry for any scrap of information, flooded the town, their cameras capturing every tear, every heartbroken word, every flickering candle at the memorial. Taylor's face, frozen in time, became a tragic symbol of the incident, plastered across television screens and newspaper front pages. The constant media attention, while overwhelming for some residents, also served as a megaphone for their grief and their demands for change. The nation listened as Stowe residents shared their stories, their voices carrying the weight of their collective pain and their unwavering determination to find meaning in the tragedy. The national spotlight on Stowe, though unwelcome and heart-wrenching, provided a platform for a conversation about the broader issues at play: gun control, mental health, and the safety of our communities. The tragic shooting at the Stowe Taco Bell, as shocking and senseless as it was not an isolated incident. It was a chilling echo of a national epidemic, a stark reminder of the pervasive gun violence that plagues America. From bustling city streets to quiet suburban neighborhoods, the sound of gunshots has become an all-too-familiar soundtrack, a grim reminder of the ease with which lives can be extinguished, futures shattered, and communities torn apart. The Stowe tragedy, with its heart-wrenching details and unanswered questions, reignited the national debate on gun control, forcing the nation to confront the uncomfortable truth that we are failing to protect our citizens from this preventable public health crisis. While the easy availability of firearms undoubtedly contributes to America's gun violence epidemic, the Stowe tragedy also exposed another, often overlooked contributing factor: the silent crisis of mental health. Kevin Creighton's history of violence and despair points to a system that too often fails to identify and treat those struggling with mental illness. The warning signs were there, the cries for help often muffled by stigma and shame. The tragic consequences of untreated mental illness extend far beyond the individual suffering in silence. They ripple through families, communities, and the nation as a whole. The Stowe tragedy serves as a stark reminder that mental health is just as important as physical health. In the wake of the Taco Bell tragedy, the Stowe community faced the daunting task of picking up the pieces, of finding a way to move forward in a world forever altered by the events of that August evening. The pain was raw, the grief palpable, but amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged. The community, united in their grief, found solace in each other's embrace. Candlelight vigils, their flickering flames symbolizing both loss and hope, provided a space for shared mourning and a platform for healing. But beyond mourning, there was a growing determination to make sense of the tragedy, to ensure that Taylor's death would not be in vain. Residents, their voices emboldened by grief and a shared desire for change, began to organize, to channel their pain into action. The path forward would be long and arduous, but the community, united in their grief and their determination, refused to let the darkness win. Section 1. Justice for Taylor, Peace for Stowe, Honoring a Life Cut Short. The tragic events at the Stowe Taco Bell serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked violence. Taylor Williams, a vibrant young woman with dreams and aspirations yet to be fulfilled, became another statistic in America's ongoing struggle with gun violence. Her story, though tragically cut short, resonated deeply with a nation grappling with the question of how to protect its citizens from senseless acts of violence. The outpouring of grief and support from the Stowe community and beyond was a testament to the impact Taylor had on those fortunate enough to know her. While nothing can bring Taylor back or erase the pain of her loss, her memory serves as a beacon of light, a reminder of the importance of kindness, compassion, and the preciousness of every human life. The pursuit of justice for Taylor and the quest for lasting peace in Stowe and communities across America are inextricably intertwined. Preventing the unimaginable, a call to action. The Stowe tragedy ignited a national debate on gun control, mental health, and community safety. It forced us to confront uncomfortable realities and acknowledge our failures. The time for thoughts and prayers has long passed. Now is the time for action and meaningful change. We need a multifaceted approach addressing gun control, mental health, and community safety. Demand stricter gun control measures. Invest in comprehensive mental health services. Foster a culture of empathy and understanding. Only then can we create a safer, more just, and peaceful world.